3, 2, 1, bam.
Bam, kako si... inače sam ponovno družen sa Sinketom, iako ga ne vidim, zato što mi je Sinket tu iza ovih stabala, ali svejedno. Ta pozitivna vibra mene i Sinketa uvijek vrati me u djetinjstvo, jer ovih 7 godina osjećam se ko beba kad smo krenuli.
Znaš da je 7. krizna?
7. je krizna. A ja brini da smo mi prošli već 7, šta nismo?
Mi smo 7. prošli u prve 3 godine.
Ma ništa, mi smo 7 prošli odmah. Uglavnom, Sinke behind the cameras, ja ovdje u stolcu, a sa mnom je ekipa TikTok senzacija koja se navodno preseli iz Amerike na Balkan. To ćemo još vidjeti da li je medijski stunt ili je to zaista tako. Sa mnom je, da, i zato će podcast biti na engleskom, tako da excuse me, evo ga, taman me zovu. Sinke, ja mislim da je to bio Andina. Halo? Evo, daću vam kolegu samo. Sinke, evo ga, taman.
That's it.
That's podcast, you know. We are live doing it now. We have...
Are we going to start from the top, or are we just...
No, we just continue. It's podcast. Yeah. Ok, podcast će biti na engleskom. Žao mi je, excuse me about it. Znam da se uvijek žalite, ali jebi ga. Tako je kako, ako hoćete imate onaj dio, uključite si prijevod i to je to. Sa mnom je TikTok senzacija, Justus Reid. Justus, welcome to Croatia, welcome to Podcast Inkubator.
Thank you very much. TikTok sensacija, I like that. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. And thanks for doing this in English. It would be very difficult otherwise.
Yeah, I know. I saw some of the shows that you were a guest on, and it was some mixture of English and Serbian and English, of course, and Bosnian, whatever.
Yeah.
Croatian. So it was difficult for you, I saw.
It's super difficult. You know, there was the last TV show I did where they did that. I have an earpiece where they're translating live, and the problem was they're also translating for the other hosts, also live. So whoever the translator is like really working hard. But in my ear, while I was speaking, I was hearing blaring loud the translation of what I was saying at the same time. So it's just totally scrambling my words and making it live, making it really difficult to do things. So I prefer to do things in English. Eventually I'll learn the language, but we're talking, you know, when I come back in 3 years, maybe we can do the whole podcast.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I also do some other stuff, and when I have an earpiece, and for example, if it only has a delay of a second or 2, then it's a big problem, because you cannot focus on your thoughts. It's like trying to say something, but it's so difficult that at the end, you know, it comes out of your mouth, it comes out something completely different. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, and it's like, then at that point it was hard to speak English or Serbian.
Or Serbian, or whatever.
I couldn't say words.
But for you, Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, it's all the same, right? If you are
it's all the same.
Looking at it, you know, with your knowledge and trying to listen to it, it all sounds the same to you. So, okay, Justus, are you really moving to Balkans, or is this some kind of media stunt that you're doing for your TikTok? Because for a lot of people, you know, it's difficult to believe that somebody from the States is moving to this part of the world.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm one of the few people, I think, maybe on this earth, who there's more opportunity for me here in the Balkans than there is in the United States. Usually it's the other way around, but as somebody from the United States, it's amazing how in just the last 3 months since I've been here, I just confirmed again and again and again that I made the right decision. I have basically spent all of my savings in the past 3 months. I sold my house. The money from house selling is basically gone. Like
it melted.
Yeah, I'm out of money. But I have made 5 times what I've spent, earned. And so the plan was, I'm like, I'm moving to the Balkans. Okay, I'll move to the Balkans until I run out of money, and then I'll decide what to do next. But guess what? All of that original money I came here with is gone, but now I've got 5 times that amount earned in the bank, ready to go. So it was, absolutely the right decision to move here, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, that's for sure. I'm the type of guy who always has kind of a backup plan.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was half media stunt, half for real, but now I can tell you for sure it's for real. I'm not going back to the United States. It'll probably be...
Never ever, or do you think that, you know,
maybe
someday...
to visit.
To visit, yeah.
Yeah, visit my family and
Do
such.
you miss them? Because, you know, what did they say?
Screw those guys. No, I'm kidding. No,
Screw them guys. I just got rid of them.
Yeah. No, I absolutely do. I really do. And even like last month I was in New York City for a little while.
Yeah, I saw that. And you met up with your father, right?
Yes, I did. And I had never been to New York before. I come from a small town in South Dakota with about 80,000 people. And New York City is like an alien planet compared to there. But I felt so comfortable and so at home in New York City, despite it being a whole different world from South Dakota. But it was because it was America. I spoke the language. I knew how to get around. I knew how to ask for directions. I knew how to, how much things cost. Just the simple, basic little things. And it was so refreshing to be back in America again. And so that experience made me miss America more than before, because, you know, you never know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I miss America because I miss being able to kind of make my own decisions. I need help for everything here. Where do we go? What do we do? Who's this guy? Who's that? What's going on? I'm confused constantly.
Yeah. In America, you have a network of your people, and if you need somebody, you know who to call, you know who to talk to, and when you are here in the unknown area and with less friends and less known people to you around you, and it's difficult to you know, get around. So if you need electrician, for example, for a car, like you do for your Yugo, you are asking me to help you. And if you were in Racing City, right, you would know who to turn to.
It's
right?
true.
So it's like building a network of people around you. But I think with your social capabilities and qualities, I think that you will do fine in very short amount of time, right?
Yeah, and I've been doing fine. And I think by this time next year, I'll be perfectly comfortable. But as of right now, you know, people ask me, you know, like this morning, I was on a radio show, and I just, you know, they had me call in, and they're like, "Where are you right now?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can't pronounce the name." And they're like, "What are you?
I see a building.
What are you close to?" I'm 50 kilometers from Zagreb somewhere. You know, it's like, "Where are you going next?" I don't know. So. It makes me feel maybe a little powerless.
Yes.
I don't like that feeling. In the United States, I'm very, you know, in control. I'm easygoing, cool-headed. I can solve any problem, right? And here, I'm like, I have no agency. And so that is extremely frustrating. And that's what I miss most about the United States. It's honestly not even the people per se. It's more like that feeling of confidence and control.
Yes, I know what you mean. I think that's the biggest issue when people are moving around. I know a lot of people Croatia joined the EU in 2014, so now the borders are open, and the people who are not earning enough money can go to Germany or Austria or whatever to do the same work for more money. And the biggest problem for them is the thing that you just told us. You know, everything is unknown to them. They don't have a network around them, and they feel like alone and insecure. And even after a few years, they don't feel like at home. But fortunately for you, people on Balkans are very warm, and they are willing to accept anybody, and especially because nobody's coming, everybody's leaving. So yeah.
You know what a big difference from the United States and the Balkans is when it comes to people? And I was talking to somebody from Slovenia who also visited New York around the same time I did, and they said people in the United States are so friendly. They're so friendly. They're like, I was standing on the corner and a guy was like, "Hey, I really like your outfit. You're looking really good today." And he's like, no stranger has ever told me that in my life. And it just blew his mind that he would be on the subway and people would strike up conversation with him. And he was like, "I don't know you. Who are you?" Right? In the United States, this small talk, short conversation, wonderful weather we're having today is easy for us.
Yes.
I feel awkward if I'm in an elevator and nobody's talking to anybody.
Yes.
If I'm in an elevator, going up to floor 8, huh? It's wonderful weather we're having.
Yes.
It's, you know, whatever, like we're having some kind of conversation because that's the natural, polite thing to do. Here, you start up a conversation with somebody, which happens basically never.
Yes.
I initiate every conversation. I'll say something in English and they'll respond in English, maybe. Sometimes they just ignore me. But those shallow, kind of surface level conversations don't happen here.
Yeah, don't exist.
It's either we're best friends or we don't talk.
Yes, yes, it's a culture because it's like when you get to know somebody, you relate them to them on a deeper level, on the higher level, but then you're stuck with them and you're friends.
Yeah.
There's no small talk, but I can guarantee you, if you need something, I heard that you are, in one interview, told a sentence like, people on Balkans hate each other, the nations. I wouldn't say it like that. I think that it's more, if you read the newspapers and mainstream newspapers, maybe you'll think it's like that, but it's not. Actually,
or the comments on a TikTok video.
Yeah, people actually are friends on Balkans, and I have a lot of friends from Serbia, Bosnia, and Nejmin was here, my guest, like 3 weeks ago. Actually, in the war, he lost a father, and he was with you in Belgrade, and so, you know, a lot of difficult stories, but at the end, I think it's, you know, we hate each other, but we love each other. If you look at the people who from this area moved to, I don't know, Sweden or to Germany, to Austria, people from ex-Yugoslavia stick together. They're always the best friends and they don't have any problems. But here, when you have politics, mainstream media, they're pushing this agenda, then it looks like that. So I think that you will fit in just fine. You will just need some time to adapt. Can you tell me, where will you settle down here? What will be your resident if you decided? Because from these 6 ex-Yugoslavia countries that you already visited and met the people, how will you decide at the end where you will live for a longer period of time? Because now, as I've heard, you're living in your Yugo. Is this true?
Yes, I have been living in my Yugo.
It looks strange. It sounds strange that you live in the Yugo, but you told us that it's true. It's not like some stunt.
No, it's not a stunt. And we even thought about doing some kind of stunt of getting a different car or getting. My initial plan was to get a big camper, and we were going to use that to travel around. But and that was going to be fun, but. Ultimately, it didn't work out that way. The Yugo is it. And so we spend most of our time in the Yugo driving and then just stay at whatever Airbnb, hotel, friend's house, fan's house, or in a hammock in the woods, you know, wherever. The place I've decided to settle down, and my decision as of right now is final, at least until next year, is in Serbia. And the reason I picked Serbia is because specifically Belgrade. I don't like city life. I'm not really a city boy. I didn't come from the city. So I'll probably pick some village just outside, someplace where I can get a house, someplace to park my cars. It's really cheap there. And there's a lot of people. And I like both of those things. So the network is large, and not only is it cheap to live, but it's also, we are right now looking to expand our team into hiring some additional influencers to join me, maybe some people to build up. But also, I mean, I need an accountant, I need a lawyer, I need all sorts of people, and they're all cheaper in Serbia,
and
much cheaper.
And all this internet business and TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is much bigger in Serbia than in Croatia. Not that just that Serbia is a bigger country, but they started with it earlier than we did. So if you, it's actually interesting that we have the biggest podcast on Balkans, but most of the YouTubers and TikTokers that are really big on Balkans came from Serbia.
From Serbia.
Yeah, from Serbia. And Belgrade is a big city, a lot of opportunities, a lot of companies are situated in Serbia. So I think a lot of our sponsors, actually, we are dealing with Belgrade because they have, for example, a brand for every country in ex-Yugoslavia, but their center there is in Serbia. So I think that's a good idea, and especially because it's much cheaper. Like you told us, standard in Serbia is maybe it's lower than in Croatia, of course, and it's in Croatia similar than Slovenia. So it's much more expensive. And I've heard on some videos that you mentioned that Croatia is actually pretty expensive, and you were in Plitvička jezera, and you were on our and it's you paid $80 or 80 euros for 2 tickets, and you told us, it's beautiful, but that's insane.
That is insane.
On our seaside, you were again this year you were on Adriatic coast, and the prices are like in Monaco. It's
they're
like
high. Really high.
Can you compare the expenses for living, for example, in Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, because now you are on this tour, so you are the best guy to tell us this.
I think the cheapest for sure is, and people say Bosnia is the cheapest usually, which makes sense. But really, if you go to like these rural areas, these very small villages in Serbia or in Macedonia, we were in Macedonia in some small villages, and things were like you could get
free, almost free.
like you could get a burek for like what's the currency there, denar?
Yes, denar.
Yeah, like 25 denar cents, like nothing, like literally nothing. Like they don't even have a bill that small.
Yes.
Like where you could live like a king in one of these tiny little villages for $100 for 2 weeks, like accommodation, I don't know, like the equivalent of like 10 euros a night.
Yes.
And so it's like, Bosnia is the cheapest. It's like, really, I don't know. It kind of depends on where you go. Because we went to some places in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, they're pretty swanky. They're pretty nice. And the prices were comparable to places of that caliber in Serbia and Croatia.
Yes, but Serbia is also getting more expensive because, especially Belgrade, a lot of Russians came because now the war is over there, and a lot of Russians moved from Serbia, from Russia to Belgrade. And as I hear, the accommodation prices went up, the food, the elite restaurants, because a lot of these Russians, like to eat nicely. Because war is going on, but still, we have to eat. So but I would agree with you. Serbia and Bosnia and Macedonia are cheapest.
Yeah, and so Slovenia, there's nothing cheap anywhere. The truth is, I've been to every small village. I've been all over Slovenia. I was there 2 years ago. I was there now, there's really just not a cheap place there.
No, Slovenia is like Austria.
And Slovenia has a big issue, the same issue that they have in the West, this nobody wants to work issue, where I think finding employees in Slovenia would be very difficult, because I think they would be extremely demanding. As a company, and my company doesn't even exist yet. It will by the end of next week. We are...
You're registering?
In 2 days, we're forming a company. We're thinking we're going to call it Tempo Media, because
Tempo Media.
Tempo Media. Tempo is the model of our Yugo. It's a Yugo Tempo.
Yeah.
So
Tempo 45 probably.
55.
50. Oh, that was like elite model.
Yeah. So, and what the difference is between a Tempo and a Corral is, don't ask me. I don't know. I tried Googling it and using Google Translate and going on the forums, and people were asking the same question. What's the difference between the Tempo and the Corral? Nobody knows.
Did you hear about Florida?
Yes, I have.
It's the supreme model.
Once we get everything on the ground and have some real money to spend, we've got money now, but we don't have money to spend.
Yes.
I would like to import a Yugo Florida to Florida. And drive it around.
Cool.
I mean, that's viral.
That's like
that's a viral idea.
High level.
Nobody's allowed to steal that. That's my
high
idea.
Level shit, right?
Copyrighted. But freaking awesome. So but Tempo Media, we're going to form it in Switzerland. because the taxes are low in Switzerland, and I have a lot of connections there. So anyway, long story short, we don't even have a company yet. And we're looking to hire people today, you know, we're looking to pin people for that. And the conversation I have with these people we're hiring is, hey, we just started, you know, what is the least salary you can possibly take without dying? I promise I'll make it up to you in the future if you build this with us. But right now, it's like, forget living nicely. We're living on beans and rice every day for a few months until this is really rolling, and then everybody's getting a raise, and they're not just getting paid what they deserve, but they're getting paid more than they deserve. But right now, we need you to be committed to this, and I just don't think I would get that in Slovenia. Because people are doing really well in Slovenia. So it's not an option for them. And so it's like the idea of, it's like, I'll pay you, what's the least amount you can get by with without dying in Slovenia? That's what, 1,500 euros, 2,000 euros? Probably, yeah. But in Serbia, it's like 400. Yes. So it's like, in Croatia, you probably, you know, get it for 1,000. Yeah. And in Serbia, it's 400, 500, around that. Yeah. And so right now, we have kind of two colors of money. We have my savings, which I talked about a little bit, and then we have earned money. I have not earned a dime in the past 3 months. All of that money is going into a separate business account, which is going to be used to grow the business. Everything that I've done in the last 3 months has come out of my own pocket, and I haven't earned a salary, and I won't earn a salary for a while. And so the truth is, if you're working with me and you're getting paid anything, you're getting paid more than I am, because this money is going towards building something greater, something bigger. So you are behind all the ideas for videos. You came here with your buddy, so you are actually a two-man show at the moment, right? You're traveling together. I know that you have a manager. I also met him through WhatsApp, Sasha. Yeah, he's a great guy, very cool guy. He's in Switzerland. He's in Switzerland. Okay, yeah, he the guy who is actually doing the suits in Belgrade. Yeah, nice guy. So, how do you organize everything? Do you have ideas in front? Who organizes a place where you will sleep? Who organizes place what you will shoot? Like I told you, do you stand behind all the ideas? Who is doing editing and putting up all these videos, putting together all these videos? So how does it work? Can you explain us? That's a really good question, and it's actually I don't know if you would call it simple or complex, but everybody has their part. Petar, who is my friend who's been traveling with me, he's been in a lot of the videos, and he's appearing more and more because our ideas are getting more and more ambitious. But he does all of the navigating, all of the planning. He's driving the car most of the time. He's finding the accommodation most of the time. He is deciding, he's scheduling times, and he's communicating with brands. I actually communicate with brands basically none. And so it starts with a brand reaches out to us. Okay. They send us an email, or I get a DM, and if I get a DM, I immediately pass them off to Sasha in Switzerland. I say, talk to my manager, he'll work something out. Sasha negotiates a deal, he sets up dates, places, and kind of what we're gonna do. And then he passes that brand off to Petar. Okay. And Petar does the planning, and I'm just along for the ride. Everything that has to do with making the content, writing, directing, editing, posting is me. Okay. So I am the content master. Okay. Everything else is done by Petar and Sasha. Okay. Which is, it's amazing. I think Petar probably puts in more work than I do at the end of the day. But I have these, the intangibles, you know, those skills that nobody else has, the reason this all exists, which is making the content. Yeah. And thank God I have both of them, because Sasha, my manager, was in the banking industry in Switzerland for over 20 years and is kind of an expert negotiator, networker. And so he's excellent to deal with the brands, much better than I am. And Petar actually has the best sense of direction of anybody I've ever met in my life. He goes someplace once. So like, we're 55 kilometers away is our hotel from this studio. He's not gonna have to use a map to get back. And he's been here once. Has spent no time driving in this area. He's got a perfect map in his head, and I get lost everywhere.
But okay, it's not fair because it's more difficult for you. You cannot read the signs and everything. So it's not fair to say,
I make the content, and basically, and when the content is made, depending on how the communication is with the brand, most brands, most contacts, most people don't even get my personal phone number. Most of them deal with Sasha or Petar, and the language barrier is the biggest reason, because they'll reach out to me, and I'm not going to be any help, you know? But it gives me the ability to really focus on the content and make great stuff, which I'll tell you what, things have been awesome. We've gotten 47 million views in the last 3 months, which there's only like 25 people in the ex-Yugoslavia, 25 million in the ex-Yugoslavian region area.
I would say even less, because a lot of people moved out.
Yeah.
For example, Croatia, if you look at the numbers, we had 4.8, 4.7, 4.5, now 3.8, because a lot of people moved out. So I think these numbers are amazing. That's what I wanted to talk about, the numbers. How important are the numbers? And because you know, everybody say, yeah, numbers are everything. Numbers are not everything, but they are still very important, because at the end you can show to your sponsor, to somebody that follows you, okay, people liked it 1.6 million times, or people liked it 0.4 million times. So considering these numbers, you can plan things for the future. You know what goes by, what doesn't, what. So are you under pressure of getting higher and higher numbers? Because, you know, when you are in this kind of position, sometimes it's not good. You know, when you are under pressure, I need to have like 5 million more, and then this goal is just getting higher and higher.
Yeah, and I think you can obviously speak to that from experience, being a content creator yourself.
But I ask you,
And numbers are really important to me. And most people, I think, would come on and lie and say that numbers aren't everything, but numbers are a big portion of everything. You know, a lot of people ask why I do it. Why do you make content? What's the thing? Now, first of all, I like being creative. I like having an outlet, but I say a big number make brain happy.
Yes.
It's very simple. If you get 1 million views, that feels awesome. It feels great. And it is, I do something and I have that indicator of success.
Yes.
And very fast.
Indicator is a great word.
Yeah.
Indicator.
Yeah. And so it's not quite like a trophy, but it's an indicator that as an example, and we can maybe talk about this a little later, maybe this will spin off into something else, but I was in the Army as an enlisted soldier for 4 years. And almost 2 of those years, about 1 year and 8 months, I was running the social media pages for the South Dakota Army National Guard. And being an enlisted soldier sucks. It sucks pretty badly. The rules are strict. You need to have your hair a certain way. You need to be, you know, clean shaven all the time. You need to, you know, wear the uniform correctly, show up on time. You show up, you do what you're told, and you don't leave until we say you can. And I hated that. I did very poorly with the military structure. And as I did this social media work, the rules started to apply less and less to me. My hair was out of regulation. I was not shaved. My uniform was all messed up. I was showing up late and leaving whenever I wanted. And it was because I was the only person in that entire organization who could say that what I was doing was working tangibly because of those numbers. And so basically it came down to, you know, people would complain, you know, Reid is breaking all of the rules. Look at him, he's a mess, you know, when did he get here? He was only in the office for 45 minutes today. He's supposed to be here 10 hours. And they would go, but did you see what he did today? Did you see the numbers? Did you see how many enlistments we're getting and what he's doing for our organization? I don't care if he shows up in pajamas. Like, this guy can do whatever he wants. And that was great.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not just brands, but it's everyone. You can tell everyone that you're doing well and you can prove it. And you say, I'm a social media influencer, whatever, which I have some issues with that term, but I'm an influencer, and somebody doesn't know who I am.
No, I said TikTok sensation.
TikTok sensation. I'm going to start telling people that. I'm a TikTok sensation. Yeah. And people go to my page and they go, oh, really? They're skeptical, and then they see the numbers. And they go, oh, wow, wow. You know? There's something to it. There's something really special there. But the best part about it is creativity fuels the numbers. The more creative I get, the more risks I take, the higher the numbers go. The more I relax and let myself go and let myself just do what I'm good at and focus on my strengths, the higher the numbers go.
Okay. Your strengths are obviously your voice and your music. You told me like 30 seconds ago that you don't feel comfortable being like an influencer. Do you consider yourself, do you consider your final goal maybe to be a musician, to turn this career into being a real only musician, just to have concerts, singing songs? Because I've heard your songs and I like them, really. And this song for Novaka Đokovića is really excellent. I like your voice. I think you're very talented. So I think at the end, you are very creative. All these ideas for editing and videos are really, really brilliant. But at the end, I think your strongest side is actually you being a musician. I really think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and people have been telling me that for a long time, and I know that that's a possibility, but the issue is, and I've learned this just from the last 3 months of being on tour, being a musician, the majority of the money you make is from doing live shows.
Yes.
And I love the idea of doing live shows, but not for a living, for fun. Honestly, I would love to do live shows and play in front of thousands or tens of thousands of people every once in a while for free. Like, I don't really...
Okay, just to enjoy yourself,
yeah,
right?
And so there's something I really like about that, but I don't want that to be my main
Sinke,
focus.
aj molim te zatvori, ne možemo više ovako. Stari je lupao ovo, pa to je stari strašno. Ajde, ovo je baš ono katastrofa. Sorry, they will close the doors. Yeah, because I feel like we are on the street, sorry, yeah. Sorry, so live shows only now and then, right?
Yeah, only now and then, and it's
yourself.
because that's just, it's very stressful. It's very stressful, it's very hard on me to do these live appearances. Listen, I'm good in front of people, but it's draining, and I don't like the way I feel doing that all the time. Okay. It can be a rush, it can be fun, but when you're doing it back to back to back to back, and believe me, I can speak from experience. I've been doing it for 3 months, and I'm about ready to be done. It's a lot. And being the center of attention is fun, but also, like, it can be frustrating as well. And I think getting more famous and getting bigger and getting recognized more and getting bigger deals might not be what I want.
Are you afraid that you will burn out? Because a lot of kids, I consider you still a kid, when you are so serious at what you do, and you are at 23, you know, at the end they burn out because it's difficult. I know, I can tell you from my own experience, being like a famous and, you know, people stopping you on the street and having something to tell you, and it's not like, it's nice experience, don't get me wrong, but it's exhausting because you have to be like in some kind of mood all the time.
Always alert.
Yeah, always alert.
Always alert.
Yeah, it's after a while you feel that it's, you know, just biting you a little by little. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, literally this morning, we were having breakfast, Petar and I, and we're having breakfast, and some guy, an older gentleman, came up behind me and put both his hands on my shoulders while I was eating. I was like mid-bite, and he, boom, put both his hands on my shoulders, and he goes, Americanets, hey, and he pats me on the back, boom, boom, and then just keeps walking. Like, I didn't even look at him.
Yeah.
And I look at Petar like,
yeah,
what the hell?
What was this?
Yeah. And the guy just leaves. And Petar was like, don't look at me, you asked for this.
Yeah,
you know?
Because people do not consider you anymore as a real person, but as Americanets.
Yeah.
But at the end, you are still Justus Reid.
Yeah.
You know, when you close the doors at the end of your Yugo, you go to sleep. I'm kidding, right? But it's like, okay, you have your own thoughts, you have your own dreams, your fears.
Yeah.
You're not just the guy who is appearing on TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And people have trouble you know, understanding that, because after a while, when they look at your videos, they feel like they know you. They can, you know, reach to you without any, you know what I mean.
And I bet you hear this all the time too, but you know, I meet people for the first time and they say that. They say, I feel like I know you.
Yes.
You know, you know, you don't know me, but I feel like I know you because I've seen so much of you. And it's like, yeah, man, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. Do you consider acting? Because at your job, what you're doing right now, a lot of, the big part is also acting. It's like music, ideas, being like, how do I say? Yeah, but like, acting is really important part. Have you ever considered doing it a little bit more serious?
I can only really consider what's directly in front of me. The thing about being an actor is you're kind of a slave to whatever production you're working on. And I'm building this company, which is, I think, going to focus on making short videos.
Okay.
I think I know that's where my big talent is. People say, you know, singing and playing guitar is something I love to do. It's something I really enjoy, but and I'm good at. But really, there is hundreds of thousands, millions of singers and musicians on TikTok. Millions that are better than me, who don't have any following, who are unknowns, who aren't popular not just in Croatia but anywhere in the world. You know, who are more popular or who are more talented than I am, better singers, better players, but they don't have the marketing talent that I do, and they don't have the editing talent that I do. They don't have
the whole package.
And they don't have the writing talent that I do. They lack the whole package, and so really, I want to keep, the reason I'm famous and popular for my music is because I'm good at understanding the numbers and what the people want and what they're looking for. And I understood that music works, and it just happens to be within my talents.
I think that the answer is the whole package, because if you have some talents, you have obviously some talents for music, for acting, but you also have ambition. You also have a plan in your head, what's going to happen. That's a big deal. A lot of people who are talented in the States, they just go to LA and they move to LA and think, okay, I'm here, I'm going to make it, how do I make it? But because they're not thinking with their own head, they just look for opportunities, somebody else to
recognize them, somebody to pull them out of their situation.
Yeah, but it's good in these days, you are basically cutting the middlemans, these agents and stuff, because you are directly talking and singing to your audience. So I think that's the real proof if somebody is legit or not, and you obviously you are. What I want to ask you, about you're considering to widening your team at the end. How many people do you think will travel with you, and how will it look?
Maximum people traveling with me at one time, I think, period, is going to be 3. 3? That would be the max. So 4 total, myself and 3 others. Because all of those people, the big thing would have to double as, hey,
Yeah.
Would
He
have
likes you. He likes you. He wants to play.
Would have to double as actors as well. So we have, you know, a sound guy and a video guy and an actor, and all of them switch places. You know,
okay.
all constantly running around doing.
So
other
you're
things.
sometimes also recording and everything. Do you sometimes edit videos or not?
I edit them all. Yeah.
You edit them all.
I edit every video.
Oh, congratulations!
And we post a video every day.
I think that editing is one of the best parts of your business that you do at the moment. I like the editing.
You like
part.
the editing, huh?
Yes, it's like because it's not can we explain to the people? It's not easy to put everything that you want in 1 minute. It's very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very difficult. So I think this is the most difficult. But idea,
I agree.
of course, idea. Then you know how to get it done, and at the end you have to edit it so it looks. Because people usually, you know, you have so much content, and then you scroll. Something has to make you watch this video at the end. So editing is the most important part, probably.
Well, and you know, we've been talking about adding people to our team, which is now the people who travel with me. I don't want them to be influencers, really. Like Petar, who's traveling with me now, hates social media, doesn't like it at all. I mean, he literally, we were having a conversation with a client, with a possible sponsor, and he was like, "I'd just like to interject. I understand this business because I've been traveling with Justus. I don't respect it, but I understand it." I was like, "You don't respect it?" And he's like, "No, I don't." It's like, that's that.
But he's sincere.
Not in front of the client.
It came out nicely.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, and he is, and he's very honest, and that's the reason why we make such a good team, is because he has the things that I don't. And one of the big things is I show him a video, and as somebody who doesn't really like what we're doing, if I can impress Petar, it's a great video. It's golden. It's perfect. Like I'll come up with an idea for a video, and he'll be like, "That's dumb. I don't like that at all." And I'm like, "Well, what would be better?" And he's like, "I don't know. Not that."
I like not that. Try again.
Yeah. And he's like we're driving, and out of the blue, he's like, "You know what you really need to improve?" He's like, "Your singing voice is good, but you're a really shitty guitar player. You can really, yeah.
But you're not, actually."
He's like, "Your guitar playing needs some," but it's that brutal honesty is super helpful.
Yes.
It's super helpful, and it also keeps me grounded.
That's how you know that somebody is your friend.
Yeah, and it keeps me grounded and down to earth.
Especially with, you know, you being more and more popular and having all these people around you who are just, you know, pep talking to you and saying nice things. It's refreshing to have somebody who will be straight honest with you and tell you what's actually realistic and what's real. I think that these people are like diamonds for you. It's like a treasure. So you have to keep them around. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. And so, yeah, but we'll have... I would like to, have some people that travel with me, and creative people. That's it. Petar is very creative, and just people who are creative in their own interesting ways. As we build the team, though, I think we'll have a lot of people kind of at home who, I think the skills that I have, to the right person, can be taught. I think there's people, I know, I see influencers out there who have got the intangibles, but are lacking the knowledge and experience.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And so these people who are really good on camera and are really smart and clever and come up with funny scripts and interesting videos and have lots of talent, but their editing is awful. And so nobody watches. Or their editing is excellent, but their writing is terrible.
Yeah, they're short of ideas.
Yeah, and so, which is actually, these excellent editors, I've run into so many of them, these people who are really smart and are really good at filming and are really good at editing, but are terrible at coming up with ideas for videos. And they show me these, they're like, "Watch this thing I made," and I watch it, and I'm like, "That's beautiful, but it's not interesting at all." You know, like, I couldn't make that. You're 10 times a better editor than I am, but you're not a very good creator.
I think the whole package is just the answer for your question. If you don't have the whole package, today there's a large competition in everything, and if you don't have everything that you need, then definitely it will fail, and you will not fail. Just give me 1 second. Ljudi, ako niste znali, vratio nam se UP, jedno od najpoznatijih bezalkoholnih pića Jugoslavije, osim okusa naranče koji ja ovdje imam. Kao što vidite, Justus ima i okus mandarine, a možete ih pronaći u svim većim trgovinama i kafićima. Često imaju razne nagradne igre, pa ih slobodno zapratite na društvenim mrežama preko linkova u opisu videa. To je to, ekipa, evo ja ću pomoći Justusu. Sinke ćemo zapravo pomoći. Sinke, daj pomozi čovjeku da...
Amerikanac, to se sa zubima radi.
Amerikanac! We do it with teeth here.
I was going to give a challenge to him. If he could open it. That one is defective. It will not open.
Yeah, but here you will get another one. I don't think... yeah.
That's hilarious, though. Come on. You shouldn't have come and take it from me. I wanted to give it to him and have him open it.
Too weak. I will open it. He is like... Sinisha is, lack of testosterone, Okay. Justus, you met Novak Đoković. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
That was nice. The whole idea, the whole project, little project, you getting to, flying to New York and then meeting him and then singing the song. And, he at the end said that when, I don't know when, but in a few months or whatever, that you will do a music video together, right? And you will do it with the guitars and everything. So congratulations. Novak is one of the biggest stars in sports in the whole world right now. So how was that experience? And, at the end, who connected you with Novak? It's not an easy task to do.
No, and it was just a crazy experience, a crazy idea. And we're just gonna keep going with the crazy ideas. Good Lord. It started with my manager Sasha, who is a huge Novak fan, and he goes, "You're gonna write a song for Novak Đoković, and I'll get you in touch with his biggest fan, Julie, and she's gonna help us write it because I think she's our ticket to meet Novak, and you'll play it for him at the U.S. Open." And I told him, "No, that's a terrible idea. I don't want to do that." Because I don't think it's going to work. I think it's a terrible, bad idea. And a few weeks later, he adds me to a group chat with this super fan, Julie, and is like, "Here we are, ready for this song." And Julie is like, "I'm so excited for this project and so excited for what's going on." And Sasha's like, "How has the writing been coming along?" And I'm like, "Sasha, I told you no." I don't want to do this. And he was like, but I kind of got pushed into it. So I wrote the song. And I said, "Okay, Sasha, here's the song." And I just kind of expected it to blow over. And he's like, "I got you in touch with a producer. You're meeting him, tomorrow. I think you should, whatever." And it's like, so basically I was drug along the whole way. Listen, I love Novak. I'm a huge fan of Novak. Maybe not as much as my manager, but I didn't think it was going to work.
Yeah.
And so basically
That's why you haven't.
To the moment I got to New York City, which basically, like I said, I was basically drug into by my manager, I was so nervous.
You were nervous?
Because, well, ultimately, and this is the truth, in the end of that trip, it cost me 2,500 euro to fly out, to stay in a hotel, to eat, to fly back, all of that stuff, to pay for tickets to get into the U.S. Open. And so I go, we don't have 2,500 euros to spend. This is going to be expensive, and I'm going to show up, and I'm not going to meet Novak, and then I'm going to go home, and it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it was kind of risky, right?
It was super risky. And so, like you said, he's a hard man to meet. Well, here's the thing. I tell Julie, because my expectations were all wrong for this scenario, I go, she's like, "Yeah, we can play the song at a fan meetup on this time." I was like, "A fan meetup with Novak? That's great." And I tell her, I'm like, "Perfect. Yeah, we just need to get a video of me playing the song for Novak and I'll be happy." And she goes, oh, Novak's not going to be there. There's no way you're going to play this song for Novak. I don't like have his phone number or anything. I'm like, ah. Yeah. Like, so I made a video, basically. I got to New York and I made an announcement video that was like, I'm here in New York City and I wrote a song for Novak Đoković and hopefully I get to play it for him. And I think it was just a scenario where I totally underestimated myself and my own abilities. Yeah. Where that video, it got 1.5 million views, and Novak saw it within 8 hours. Yes. And he shared it to his story. And I was just mind blown. I was like, do I really have that kind of ability to influence things like that and to get these amazing opportunities? And 2 days later, we were outside of his practice zone. He shared it to his story, but I didn't hear from him. So 2 days passed, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, hey, when are we going to do this? And we saw him outside of one of the practices, and Julie yells out to him. He goes, Novak, have you heard this song? He doesn't even look at her. He's like, you know, I heard a little, very little. I'm busy, you know, like I'm playing at the US Open. And she goes, he's here. The guy who wrote the song. And Novak, he looks up and, hey, it's the guy. And he shook my hand and he says, when are you going to perform for me? And I go, you know, whenever you want. And he goes, I'll perform for you first and then you perform for me. And we met him in the parking lot afterwards. So nice, so humble, so down to earth. And it just went much better than I ever expected it to. Now we're at Crazy Idea Part 2, right? It was totally worth it. It was worth every penny we paid. It would have been worth 5 times that, you know? It was totally brilliant, and I'm so humbled by the whole experience. But now, I met with Novak. I sang him the song. He made me a promise. However, I still don't have his phone number. I still don't have anybody on his team. As far as I know, everybody on his team was let go recently. So even the people I met with there aren't even with him anymore. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to meet up and do this music video?
I think he will get in touch with you, right? Because I've heard on the parking lot when you sang the song to him, he told to the camera that he actually knows some previous videos of you, right?
He did, yeah. So he follows me.
He follows you. Then just DM him or just, you know.
Novak gets probably
millions of
DMs. I have DM'd
Maybe
him.
Sasha has some other connection.
Nope. No, Sasha didn't have a connection before. He reached out to Julie, like cold called her, basically.
You know, we will do a short clip from this podcast. And and do a reel and take Novak and said,
I am ready.
Please, you promised, you won the US Open, Justus is ready, let's make a music video, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need that. That was basically a plan. I was like, I need to make another video, another viral video, reaching out to Novak saying, all right, it's time. It's time to make good on this. And then, of course, it will reach him again, just like it did before.
Yeah, I think it will work out.
Yeah.
If he follows you, definitely, why not? And Novak is always up to these good ideas. In the past, he responded well to some similar ideas, so I think it will work out.
Yeah.
Well.
I agree. Sasha has been, my manager has been really poking me on it. He's like, you just wait until you do that music video with Novak. And I'm like, like, you sure?
Okay, Sinke has a number of his managers, so he will...
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, because we were also talking with his manager and all the other guys around him that he comes to the podcast.
To the podcast.
So, yeah, so, okay. We will...
You think he's going to come to the podcast?
Hopefully, yes. Because when, you know, all the mainstream media was judging him about his decisions about Australian Open and US Open with COVID stuff, we were on his side, and we were the only ones who were not judging him, but you know, embracing his courage and everything that he did. So yeah, hopefully he will recognize that. And again, Goran Ivanišević, he's his coach and his famous Croatian player who also has good connections with us. So yeah, hopefully we'll do it.
Yes.
Yes, we'll do it. Novak, please. Novak, Novak.
No, it's going to be great. I am really excited. I'm certain this music video is going to happen. We just need to figure out how.
Yeah, we need to focus. How did you like the Super Talent show in Croatia? You didn't pass to the next stage, but at the beginning you were quite a sensation because, you know, nobody expected an American guy to come here and sing our Balkan songs in Croatian or whatever languages you sang it. But how did you like it, the whole experience?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was crazy. How much did I like it? I liked when it aired months after I went to Croatia. Here's the thing. I was working full-time with the Army and flew over here in the evening. Then the next day, we filmed basically the whole day. I was there on set. And then the day after that, I flew home.
Wow.
And it's an 8-hour time difference from the United States. And I was not the same for weeks, man.
Yes.
I was so messed up because of the jet lag and the time. And so it was like, okay, Friday, I flew out of the United States. I arrived late that night after 23 hours of travel. And then all day Saturday filming, Sunday flew home, and then Monday had to go back to work.
Wow.
And so...
How did you manage to do all that? It was crazy, man.
I just had to.
Jet lag is real stuff. I've been traveling for a while, and in some parts of my career and my life, I was traveling like 50 times a year, all transcontinental flights, and jet lag is like killing you.
You know what's really interesting about when Super Talent reached out to me, I was actually kind of at a lower point in my sort of social media career because I was working so hard with the Army and was spending so much time focusing my energy on that I kind of let my personal stuff kind of push to the side. So I was really shocked they reached out to me at all. But they did. And then once that aired a few months later, that was awesome. That was really great. Lots of great media attention and positivity. And it kind of gave me a new spark to kind of focus a little more on my own stuff, which ultimately, it sparked me to, you know, kill myself doing 2 jobs at once. But that was just the way it was.
Did you have one deciding moment when you realized, okay, this is what I need to do? I need to focus on Balkans, on this part of my life. Did you have one decisive moment, or it was, you know, happening for a while? It was, you know, this decision was maturing. How did it happen?
It had to have been when I went to Slovenia for the first time.
Okay.
I had made my...
That was 21, right? 2021.
Yeah. 2021, I made my first video about Slovenia, singing a Slovenian song early that summer. Let's see. Not quite the summer, in May, early May. And within a month and a half, I had a guy reach out to me, a Slovenian influencer saying, I want to fly you out to Slovenia for a few weeks. I'll pay for everything.
Whoa.
You just come out and enjoy Slovenia and see the stuff and make some videos with us. And it was so fast. Like, it was so fast. Like, I had made my first Slovenian song a month and a half before. And then basically it was like, I'll fly you out. And then the month after that, boom, I'm in Slovenia. 3 months ago, I couldn't even point to Slovenia on a map, and now I'm here. And not only am I here, but I'm famous. People are stopping me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I can't get anywhere. I was more famous 2 years ago in Slovenia, or felt more famous than I have at all in the last 90 days, being here on my Balkan tour. And it was so instant. And I was like, I was just shocked. How could this be? And my dad was with me too, and he was probably more shocked than I was. That was basically it. And after I came home, I was like, I'm moving to Slovenia. I have decided I am moving to Slovenia. However, the next opportunity came almost exactly a year later with Croatia's Super Talent, which I didn't expect. And then 8 months after that, the next opportunity came with my manager, Sasha. He owns a suit company, and he invited me to Serbia. And I go, okay, I've been to Slovenia, to Croatia, to Serbia. I kind of make things for this whole region, so I guess I'll just go to the Balkans and travel around and make a decision. And now here we are. Yeah. But that first trip to Slovenia was really surreal, really surreal.
And the song about Jugo, right? No, your video about the Jugo and then backlash and response.
I made the video about the Jugo, and
it's now a famous story that everybody knows. You did a video about Jugo, and you had a lot of response, but a lot of backlash, right? Because people here are like like connected to this old car. And it's funny how Jugo ended up being sold in the States. At the end, I've read about it. Recently I watched a documentary. It's present on YouTube, guys, so you can watch it. And they sold around 150,000 units. And they had like 100,000 miles guarantee or 10 years. I don't think it was worth it. But at the end, it wasn't a failure. People actually bought this car in the States, and it was, it's shitty as...
Only got shut down because of sanctions.
Yes. So it's crazy. People actually bought it. But so, you did a video, you got backlash, and then you wrote a song about Jugo, right? And it was a big hit.
No, I never wrote a song about Jugo.
A song. Sorry, you sang a song from Milica, right? It's
You sang the song Miki Mila.
Yes, sorry. It's Serbian song, so I don't know.
Serbian song, yes. Anyway, so I sang that song, and that to this day is my most liked Balkan video ever. Was that first song singing a Serbian song, and that opened my eyes to that there was something there, and I wasn't willing to just let it go, right? So I go, I'll make some more videos for the Balkans, but even at that point, I was kind of flip-flopping towards making videos for an American audience and making videos for a Balkan audience. But after I visited Slovenia, I was all in,
I have a present for you.
Oh, really?
Sir. Yeah. We have a guy, Paul Bradbury, actually a foreigner. On je Englez, tako, Sinke. Yeah, from Great Britain. He's living here, and he's also a YouTuber, and because he's an older guy, but he's describing to other people how does it feel now to live in Croatia. And he describes all the bad sides and good sides, of course. And he wrote this book, Croatia Survival Kit for Foreigners. So yeah, I think you will.
This looks interesting.
Yeah, so you will. Yeah, it's a new edition.
Nice.
Brand new. He was our guest here like a couple of weeks ago.
Survived.
So yeah, you should meet him because he would probably have a lot of worthy advice.
But he's from America.
I think, by the way, from Britain or America?
I think it's English.
English. I think also, he's from England, right? From Great Britain.
I will actually.
You must read this.
Read this.
It's like, it's like,
You should meet him. We will give you his numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do some kind of collaboration with him, whatever. YouTuber,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's crazy because he's all around the media, mainstream media. People love him because, another guy who came from another country to live here. Because at the beginning, I told you that it's difficult for us to understand somebody, who would leave his nice job and everything he had in the States and come here, because we look at the things from economic perspective and see, okay, if he's making more money there, why would he move here? But we are not considering all the other things that are really nice here, like the weather, like the food, like the water that you can drink, top water, like the security. Nobody will, bother you for anything. It's like we have a lot of advantages that we are not considering.
Yeah.
So yeah, Yeah. What can you tell us about the job in the army? Why did you sign up for the army? Did you ever think that you will actually be, you know, the guy in the battle or whatever? Or what happened there?
So it starts when I was 14. I got my first job, and I actually worked 2 jobs when I was 14. I worked at my dad's coffee shop, and I worked at the ice cream shop across the street. And I also got my first car and my driver's license. You can get your driver's license at 14 in South Dakota, 14 years old. And basically from that point forward...
That's possible with 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I had, my first car was a manual transmission, so I do very well with the cars here.
So you know how to drive with a stick?
Yeah, with a stick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
That's like a rare thing for an American, right?
Yeah, it is a rare thing for an American. But I never went to school. I was homeschooled my whole life. So my mom was my teacher.
Wow, nice to hear that. I support these things.
Yeah, until I graduated from high school at home, and I never went to college. So yeah, school, don't know anything about it. But because I didn't go to school, I had all this time to work. And from that point forward, I just wanted to be an adult. I wanted to grow up. I wanted to be on my own. So I was itching to basically, especially when I was 17, it was maybe the hardest time in my life because I couldn't get the job I wanted. I was qualified to get like an adult job, but nobody would hire me because I wasn't old enough. I actually got hired for 2 jobs. They hired me. I went there on my first day, and they found out I wasn't 18, and they were like, oh, you can't work here if you're not 18. Twice that happened.
Fuck.
And so on my 18th birthday, I got my insurance license, and I moved out from my parents' house and got an apartment, and I joined an insurance company. And I told myself, I go, these are the goals I'm going to have for this time next year. It was July, is my birthday. And I go, this time next July, I'm going to have a new Dodge Charger, because that was the car I always wanted. And I used to work at a television store. And I go, I want the best television they sell. And I want to buy only the nicest things. I want an office here downtown with my name on the door, and I want to make $40,000 a year. And next year rolled around, next July, and I had met all of those goals. I had all of them. I had the car, I had the money, I had this great apartment, I had this office downtown, and I just felt completely and totally empty and hopeless because I didn't know what to do next. I had just turned 19 and I had no more goals to make. I go, what is it, more money, a nicer car, a bigger apartment? Like, what kind of goals are that? Because realistically, I don't want a nicer car. Yeah. I don't want a better apartment, and I don't need more money. And so I made a snap decision really quick that I sold the car, sold everything in my apartment, I quit my job, and I joined the Army. And it was because I had felt like I had grown up too fast and wanted to start from square one and do something really hard. And so I joined the National Guard, which is, and I did training for 7 months, you know, the crawling through the mud and getting shot at and throwing grenades and all sorts of, you know, hoo-ha Army stuff. But the job I picked was human resources, so I did paperwork. So I didn't want to be a soldier. I didn't want to get shot at, but and I wanted a skill that was transferable to the civilian world, because realistically, I kind of joined the Army just for that 7 months of training. And then when the 7 months of training was over, I was like, damn, I have to be in the Army now?
Did you actually want it just to test yourself?
Yeah, well, it was just, like I said, I felt really empty and hopeless and wanted a challenge.
To do something extreme.
Yeah, to do something extreme. And basic combat training is extreme. And then after that, advanced individual training. The training was done, and I was like, crap, now I have to be in the Army. Army. But luckily I was in the National Guard, so it was part-time. So I only served 1 weekend a month. When I got home from the Army, I bought a house, I bought a new car, and with some money I had saved up from training and previously, and I took a whole year off. I didn't work. I just remodeled my house and kind of scraped by buying and selling random things online. And by July, not by July, by spring of 2022, last year, my Army contract was coming to an end. And I was like, I'm moving to Slovenia. I'm gonna do it again. I'm selling everything and quitting the Army because my contract is up. See ya, suckers. I never liked this job anyway. And joining and moving to Slovenia. And my first sergeant comes into my office and he goes, what can we do to convince you to stay? And I go, nothing. There's literally nothing. And he goes, we'll give you any job you want. You name the job and we'll give it to you. And I said, no, there's not one job in this entire organization that I want. Not one. And he's like, all right, you know, and he leaves. And then another person comes into my office, the chief comes in and says, what if we gave you a $10,000 bonus just to sign on for 1 more year? 1 more year. You can have any job you want and we'll give you 10 grand just to stay with us for 1 year. I go, no, I'm moving to Slovenia. Chief leaves. And then the colonel comes in my office and he goes, what if your job was just to make TikToks and that was your only job? Would you consider that? And I go, oh yeah, I consider that, but that's not a job. You guys don't have a position like that. And he goes, what if we made that position? And I go, I'd consider it. And so they sent me over to the marketing team there, and I started making TikToks. And we went viral basically instantly. I was putting my talents to good use. I was posting videos every day for the Army, and within 3 months we had 250,000 followers.
Crazy.
And over 20 million views.
Crazy.
Within
so
from a page,
doing
nothing.
Marketing for the Army.
Yeah, I made propaganda. Woo!
Propaganda, yeah.
But I was really good at it.
Yeah, obviously, because you were so
and here's the thing.
them.
I mean, you say, you know, my real talent, you know, and the future is the singing and the guitar and all that. I didn't do that with the Army. I didn't sing or play guitar with the Army. I did something completely different.
Okay.
And so I made these videos, and then TikTok was too popular, and it turns out that Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio, was presenting a bill to Congress that was shutting down TikTok for all government organizations and everything. And Senator Marco Rubio was alerted to our page, and they go, hey, here's a military organization that has a very, very popular page on TikTok, and this could hurt your case in Congress because ultimately he says TikTok is bad for this country, it's bad for our military, it's bad for this and that. And somebody could say, what about Specialist Reid in South Dakota? This is obviously a useful recruiting tool for him, and it's helping encourage young people to join the Army. So what do you say to that? He didn't want that. So he sent his lawyers after us, called the 2-star general, and basically was like, you need to shut that TikTok page down.
Yeah, but motivation behind that was actually that it's Chinese company, right? It was only the only reason.
That was his motivation, but ultimately they shut us down because he was presenting this bill and he felt like we were hurting his case because we were too popular. I mean, we were in South Dakota and went all the way to Florida. The senator in Florida heard about it. And they called the general, the #1 guy, the guy who could have me shot by firing squad. And the general goes, TikTok? What's a TikTok? You know, I don't even know what that is. We have a what? And so the TikTok got shut down by force. We only had it for 3 months. It grew to 250,000 followers, dead, done, shut down. I almost got fired. There was almost it was very bad. And so I moved to making content on Facebook. And we did that for 9 months before I moved here. And we went from 3,000 followers on a page they had for 10 years, since Facebook basically existed. From 3,000 followers to 540,000 followers.
Wow, crazy.
In 9 months on Facebook.
Wow.
And
did you have some budget for marketing, or just you?
They just paid my salary, that was it.
Wow, crazy. So it was all organic.
Which they would have had to pay anyway. Yeah. Yes, it was entirely organic. We didn't pay a dime.
Crazy.
Never. I tried to create a campaign where we paid and we couldn't get the funding. And the reason I wanted to create a campaign is because my content was going all over the world. And I go, what if we target our specific state and group and people?
Yes.
You know, because if we pay, we can target. But we couldn't get the budget. Anyway, so with the Army, I did that for a little over a year and a half. They did convince me to stay. It was such a success for them. And like I said, you know, I was winning. And so all of the things I hated about being in the Army, these strict rules and these regulations and people, I didn't like people telling me what to do. I didn't like being disrespected because I was a lower rank. It was a mess. I didn't like being in the Army. But then when I got this job doing the social media stuff, all of it went away. I actually had a big argument with one of my, they put a new supervisor in charge of me. And he was kind of he didn't know the score, right? And so I had left early one day and he called me back and got all mad and goes, what makes you think that you deserve special treatment? You know, you think you should be treated differently than everybody else? And I go, I do think I should be treated differently than everybody else. Because guess what? If you're going to treat me the same as everybody else, I quit. And that's that, you know? And, you know, and then his boss the next day called me in the office and he goes, he was a little out of line there. And so it was really great. I actually really loved working that job with the Army. However, to be clear with my position in the Army, I worked for my state. I never worked on any federal missions. I'm not really a United States guy. I'm more of a South Dakota guy.
No.
My boss was not President Trump or Biden. It was the governor of South Dakota. And so I was kind of our local...
You're a local patriot.
Our local militia group. And so, and every state has their own National Guard.
Yeah,
sometimes we help out with federal missions, but ultimately our goal is to serve our state.
Crazy story, because I have completely different story coming from a guy who was my guest here maybe a year ago. He's actually famous Croatian TikToker. He also has like 500,000
What's his
people.
name?
Well, it doesn't matter. Don't want to speak publicly if he doesn't want to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Tell me.
But he was in the army, and
in Croatia.
Yeah, he was in the army, and he's a street workout guy. So he's doing street workout. So he has a nice body and everything, and he was private in the army. But he also had his own TikTok and Instagram that, you know, became more and more, it got bigger and bigger, and he got famous pretty quickly because he was promoting street workout, healthy way of living, soldier way of life and stuff like that. And in the army, they didn't like it. So, and he asked them if they want him to help them with their account and, you know, to help bring young people into army. And in the end, they just split because of this issue. They didn't allow him to have this kind of popular Instagram account, and he left the army, and now he's full-time influencer. So I don't want to, you know, talk about his name because I don't know. But yeah, at the end, it's crazy because we are also part of NATO. So the same things should apply for all the people, all the armies that are, you know, part of NATO. So I think that promotion and marketing for army is a good thing. You always need new recruits. You always need new privates. So I don't see any problem. I think that, you know, marketing is good stuff.
Ultimately, and I can play devil's advocate on this because I've heard all the arguments myself, and listen, I had to answer to a lot of very important people about my TikTok page. Is actually, I mean, generals and secretaries and whoever, you know, the guy in charge of this or that or the department of whatever. And ultimately, the argument is about a lack of control. Individualism. The military, in general, is not about individualism.
Yes.
It's not about the individual soldier. If you're making videos, it should be about your group, about your squad, about your team, about your unit, about your organization, not about you. We don't care about what makes you special. That's not the point. That's why there's, you know, for, you know, decades and decades, people have been writing stories about soldiers being replaced with robots because they don't say no, and they do what they're told. And the military wants us to be, you know, drones. People who just do what they say. They don't like creativity. They don't like individualism. It's not part of their way. And so if you're going out, and this is actually a big kind of slight we say in the Army in the United States, is if somebody's doing something that is out of line, they go, oh, we have an individual over here. You think you're an individual? No, Sergeant, I am not an individual. You know?
Yes.
And so that individual mentality is very frowned upon, to say the least. So in South Dakota, however, I was very lucky to be in the state I was. I know a lot of other military influencers from other states, and all of them have the exact same issue. Their state or the federal government is constantly trying to shut them down.
Yes.
Or they're passed.
So it's a common thing.
Yeah, they're passed up for big promotions. They're treated poorly. They and it doesn't matter how popular, how positive, anything, they'll destroy you. And it would have been the same for me if I was doing it on my own.
Doing it for the
but I wasn't. I was promoting the state, the group, everything. It wasn't about me. Yes. It wasn't about being an individual. But I think that shows the sign of a really good content creator is somebody who's flexible to make content.
I will give you his contact when we finish. So
interesting. I'd love to.
You can you know, probably maybe do some collaboration. How do you get treated in Serbia? Because you're an American and you were in the army, and you know that Serbia had a little bit of issue with the states like 20 years ago when NATO was bombing the Serbia because of the war and everything. So, you know, it's funny because we consider America our allies, one of our biggest allies. We're part of NATO, and, you know, in Serbia it's not like that. So did you feel that at all or not?
No, I haven't felt it at all. I think, honestly, it's strange. There's a saying that American mothers say. They say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. And I feel like actually Serbians and Balkan people in general are actually pretty good about that in person. In person. Online, the floodgates are open. Yes. I get all sorts of hate online. But in person, if somebody doesn't like me, doesn't like what I'm doing, thinks I'm a CIA person or a terrorist or whatever, they just don't talk to me. I've seen comments like that. I saw this guy the other day making whatever video, and I hate that guy. And I'm like, didn't notice, you know? In person and in real life, it has been nothing but warmth and positivity everywhere. I'm dead serious. Other than people being too handsy, too enthusiastic, I've had no negative experiences with fans.
Then that's great. After speaking to you for, well, almost 2 hours now.
Jeez.
I must say that you are too serious for your age. Do you ever, you are. For a guy that's 23, you're always considering business side of the story, and, you know, not many people do that. They are thinking how to enjoy themselves, how to, you know, to go to a party, to have some girl or whatever, and you are always thinking about the whole picture, about the business side. You have a plan for now, for, you know, next few years. So Do you think that you are sometimes too serious and maybe you should get more relaxed and enjoy this process, because at the end, you know, you will be sorry that you didn't maybe enjoy it as much as you could. Maybe you were focusing too much on the business side. It's good. I mean, that's why you are so successful. But we were talking about burning out and, you know, this part of the story. So
yeah. Ultimately,
do people tell you this?
Yeah, I get it a lot. Well, not a lot, but enough. That I think sometimes I can be too serious. But I spent most of my time as a kid around adults. I think that probably helped. You know, there's not a lot of, I didn't have anybody giving me advice as a kid about, you know, when you're young, do this, do that. Most of the adults in my life have lots of regrets from this time in their life, from being 22, 23, 24. And those regrets are almost never about the things they didn't do. It's about the things that they did that they regret. And I can say at this point, it's not a long list of things that I did that I regret. I don't really regret any of my decisions. And I'm also in a position where I'm lucky enough to not regret any of the things that I didn't do either. Because the things that I want to do, I do.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm doing this, I'm living this crazy lifestyle.
You're the guy of action, not the guy
these
of words.
People, yeah, these people out there who are, you know, whatever, doing who are concerned about the parties and the women and the this and the that, are all doing things that they're comfortable with. They're comfortable with those things. They're comfortable partying and drinking and being a burnout and being lazy and whatever. I'm doing things that are hard. These are really hard, scary.
You are, man. You are changing your life every few years. It's crazy. Yeah, well, people are usually, you know, hard to pursue, to push to do anything, and you are doing it by yourself. You're just changing, reshaping your life every few years. It's crazy. It's very brave. Very, very brave.
Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, the seriousness, it does maybe suck a little bit of the joy out of doing these crazy things. And so, yeah, I think I could probably loosen up a little, and who knows. I think being here in the Balkans is helping me do that. Like I said, one of the biggest things that the biggest thing that I don't like about being here is the lack of control.
Yes.
Feeling kind of helpless that I'm just getting drugged around by my manager and my
But it will disappear after a while. Then you will, you know, get to know things, and I think you will, you know, get by a little more easy.
It's very good for me to learn about being okay with a lack of control and being okay with just taking things as they come, you know? And you know what's funny, as somebody who's very serious in person, I don't think I come off as that at all online, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I think what surprises people is I have kind of a mechanical brain. I'm very logical about things, about why are we silly, why am I silly online, why do I make videos like this? Well, it's because it's what works. You know, it makes me laugh, and I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I like to make other people have fun. But guess what? If other people didn't like to have fun and I did, I don't know. I might do what everybody else was doing.
Yeah, I get you. Sinke, šta si ti rekao da?
Samo ne stavimo par pitanja.
A zašto ima 34 pitanja na mom Instagramu? Da, ima hrpa pitanja. So a lot of questions came for you, a lot of questions, because I put up these graphics like a few hours ago, and we already had like 30 and even more questions. So we will do a short break so we can fresh up, you know, go to the bathroom.
Yes,
and
I need to do that.
Feel with Yuppie with these drinks, and to open this bottle. So Justus, thank you very much for this first part.
Yes, of course.
Because I don't want to ask you everything, because people actually have their own questions. So we will go further in like 5 minutes. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for coming here, for sharing your incredible story. It's really extraordinary. It really is. And thank you for being honest. And I wish you all the best, man. It's not easy to move. It wasn't easy for me to move from Zagreb to a small city 15 kilometers outside of Zagreb. So, I can imagine that it must be difficult. And this lack of control that you are mentioning, it's actually a lack of trust because after a few years, when you get to know all these people and learn to trust them, I think it will be easier for you. So good luck, sir, with everything that you do.
Thank you.
That's it. Ekipa, bio je to još jedan podcast inkubator. Justus Reid je bio s nama, znači čovjek iz Amerike koji se preselio, evo sad je rekao, u Beograd. Ostanite s nama jer i u drugom dijelu odgovaramo na vaša pitanja i ovaj podcast je išao na najboljoj mreži, najstabilnijem streamu A1 mreži. Let's go, ćemo.